Hi, this is Jenny with your 5-minute drawing. Today we're going to sketch a black and white pumpkin. So you just need your regular pencil. And I know this kind of sounds a little crazy, but you have it sharp, but you need to have a flat edge. So I will go over to another piece of paper and just kind of get so that there's like a flat edge on that as well. And then I begin with drawing a C lightly. It's a large C. It's the outside of your pumpkin. And then I draw another backwards C. And then I draw 2 C's on each side. This gives me the base of where my bumps on my pumpkin are going to be. And then I will add down here, you're going to make it more of an oval. I know some people start with the oval in the middle, but I just find this way easier for me. And then I just kind of scallop my bottom to meet that. So it's kind of a bump and a bump and a bump and a bump and a bump. Okay? And then up here, they all meet in with the stem. So you can have a wonky stem because they're not perfect. And they go there. And then we have to see the angle we're doing it. We're going to have a couple little bumps there. That's the top of the back part of our pumpkin. Now, to shadow with black and white, you just have your pencil. So we will make these a little bit darker with our pencil. And your hand has a natural curve, and you will do this side, and then you'll turn your paper the other way. So if you notice, this part is going to be a little bit darker in from where the stem is, and I'm going out from the stem because you're going to always go from top to bottom of your pumpkin. And you don't necessarily need these to be even. I just corrected one of my shading parts. And then I make this a little bit darker because that's where they kind of go in towards the pumpkin. And then I'm going to turn my paper over and I will add those darker shadows in here. And you can see I'm kind of using the side of my pencil because if I were to use the point, it would make a straight dark line. And we don't want that for this project. Now, for the bottom, you'll see on the bottom, we have some shading. So while our paper's there, we want to get onto our flat side of our pencil again. And you'll curve up. And then you'll need to turn it. Once it gets a little awkward, then you can turn your paper so that it's not an awkward angle for you. Okay, so now you have your shading at the bottom. And at the very top. And I see that some of my little divots have kind of disappeared. So I want to kind of make them a little darker where they disappeared. If that makes sense. Okay, so our pumpkin has to have some color. It's not just white. Even if it's a white pumpkin, it's got some little nooks and crannies that go along with pumpkins. And so you're going to lightly, ever so lightly, go down. And then straight. and then I turn, and then I curve this way, ever so lightly. Now, if you were using charcoal pencils or pastels, you could blend this a little bit. Regular pencil doesn't blend a lot, although it does blend some. Now, I want to add some light, and I didn't make it any lighter in one of the areas, so I'm going to just say that the sun is coming from the top. So we need to have a little bit lighter on the top. And so I just made it a little lighter there, but it can't be just white. I erased part of our line, so we're going to kind of go back over those. And here, we still want to have some lines, but we gotta make them super, super, super light. And then our stem. Now, you could go up and down and just make some crookedy little jaggedy vine lines and then color that in. So I use the tip of my pencil, which is more direct and defined and a crisper line. And just kind of color that in. If you want a vine, you could always, add something, a little extra if you want. You most certainly can add. I also added a little shadow down here using the side of my pencil. You can do that. And you could, of course, incorporate all kinds of different things with this little pumpkin. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. You're always welcome to add more until it's fit to your liking. And I hope you enjoyed drawing our 5-minute black and white pencil drawing of a pumpkin. Join me next time.